In Los Angeles, crime is on the rise. 2015 marks the second year in a row the city's numbers have gone up. But as Al-Jazeera's Jennifer London reports, officials have a plan to combat the violence.
These are some of the meanest streets in Los Angeles, with notorious nicknames like Death Alley.
No cheating, no crime.
Adriana Obiano grew up here. When she was 17, her boyfriend was shot and killed in the crossfire of a gang shooting. She was 6 months pregnant at the time. Now a mother of 4, she struggles to keep her children from suffering the same fate.
It saddens me because they're not free, because I don't permit them to go outside and walk up and down the street. When he wants to play, he plays on his bike in the paved backyard.
But the struggle extends far beyond just gang shootings and dangerous streets in South LA. According to the Los Angeles Police Department, violent crime increased all over the city by nearly 20% in 2015. There were 280 homicides, up 10.2% from 2014, more than 1,600 rapes, a jump of 8.6%, and more than 13,000 aggravated assaults, an increase of 27.5%. Property crimes throughout the city rose by 10.3%. This marks the second year in a row that violent crime has gone up. In a statement released to Al Jazeera, the mayor's office says, "Our city remains safer than any time since the 1950s, but that's little comfort to those whose lives have been impacted by crime. Keeping Angelenos safe will always be Mayor Garcetti's top priority, and he and Chief Beck are taking proactive and comprehensive steps to reduce crime." This includes adding more officers to the Metro Division, which supports LAPD's community-based policing, and also focusing on gang reduction and youth employment programs.
And obviously, when you look at South LA or any urban area, you still see the same problem, namely high unemployment, joblessness, and I think a second thing, which I think fuels that, is the alienation, the sense of disempowerment on the part of so many young people.
In order to stop it, it's going to take all of us to stop it, and I mean gang members, former gang members, mothers, fathers, uncles, cousins. Somehow we got to break the cycle, ma'am.
Introspection the police themselves are also undertaking as the LAPD looks for ways to make the streets safe for everyone. Jennifer London, Al Jazeera, Los Angeles.
Vincent Hill is a former officer with the Nashville Police Department, is now a private investigator. He joins me tonight from Atlanta. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, BC. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. Well, I'm going to start off. Los Angeles has seen its murder rate drop 90% in the past 23 years. That's a significant decrease. Although there's been a 10% increase in crime, the numbers are still relatively low, but I imagine there are still many reasons to be concerned here.
Yeah, there's many reasons, not only in Los Angeles, BC, but across the country. You look at major cities like Chicago, Baltimore, Houston, things of that nature. Crime is up, and I think a lot of it has to do with there's a lot of less proactive policing going on. When I was in patrol, I was stopping cars. I was knocking on doors. Contrary to popular belief, this is how you fight crime. And when you look at a city like Baltimore, after Freddie Gray, after his death, and after the arrest of those 6 officers, even officers in Baltimore said, hey, we're not doing this proactive policing. And when you stop doing that, you're going to see this spike in crime that we see in LA and across the country as well.
And you mentioned less policing, and I believe that's being referred to as the Ferguson effect. So who needs to be held accountable for making sure that officers are on the job?
Well, of course, it starts with the chain of command, but yeah, it's hard to tell an officer, hey, go out and do this when you have officers fearing, hey, I'm either going to be beaten because I'm an officer, such as the case in Birmingham where the detective was pistol whipped and he did not defend himself because he didn't want to be the quote-unquote next white officer in the media, or when you look at Baltimore where you have officers who are doing their job and doing their job legally using the proper use of force as they did in Freddie Gray, contrary to popular belief. They don't want to be charged with assault, or something horribly goes wrong, they don't want to be charged with killing someone. So it's hard to tell these officers to go do their job in the current state the society is in as far as policing.
Well, the city says that it's taking proactive and comprehensive steps to combat this issue. How should the city go about fighting crime in a way that will essentially be effective?
And that's just it, BC, the word crime. We have to focus on crime prevention, and that is going to take community as well as police. It's going to take police actually going out and doing what they're sworn to do, protect and serve, and it's going to take the communities to have that faith in their police department that they're actually doing it. And also realizing, too, that police work is not always pretty. Sometimes you're going to have to use force against someone. So, again, if the officer is worried about if he uses force, he's going to be seen as racist or abusive, we need to get away from that in order to make this work.
So I want you to take a look at this, Vincent. Here's how crime stats compare in other U.S. cities. New York City's overall crime rate dropped by about 2% in 2015, despite seeing an increase in the number of murder and rapes. Chicago saw similar numbers. Murder and rape rates went up, but overall crime fell about 6% from the 2014 numbers. In Baltimore, they experienced more crime in 2015 than the previous year by about 5%. So according to one report, 35 cities saw their murder rates rise in 2015. Could this become a national trend? As we see, LA isn't alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it goes back to proactive policing. You know, when I would stop a car and find a gun in that vehicle, I don't know if maybe that person was going out to commit a murder or had he just committed a murder, but I've even seen less officers making traffic stops. Again, proactive policing combats crime. So until we get back to that, I think we're going to see this uptick in crime nationwide.
All right, thanks as always. Appreciate your perspective, Vincent.
Thank you, BC.